My name is Evelyn Brooks. I am 55 years old. For 27 years, the only titles anyone bothered to use for me were wife, stepmother, and homemaker. I watch my stepson Jason lean back in his leather chair across the courtroom, that smirk playing at the corner of his mouth like he's already won. 28 years old and so certain the world belongs to him. The fluorescent lights above us hum with a frequency that makes my teeth ache. Or maybe that's just the sound of everything I built threatening to collapse. Your Honor, Jason's lawyer says, shuffling papers that whisper secrets I'm not supposed to hear, my client's position is quite simple. Ms. Brooks. Mrs. Brooks, I say quietly. The lawyer pauses, glances at me over his reading glasses. Mrs. Brooks, he corrects with barely concealed irritation, was never employed by the Brooks family business. Her name appears on no corporate documents. She held no official position. She is, by her own admission, a homemaker. Nothing more. Nothing more. The words settle into the courtroom like dust. I feel Thomas shift beside me, my husband of 27 years, and I don't need to look to know he's studying his hands. He's been studying his hands a lot lately. Fascinating things, apparently. More worthy of attention than his wife's humiliation. She's just a homemaker, Jason laughs, and the sound is sharp enough to cut. She doesn't even have a LinkedIn profile. The gallery behind us rustles with uncomfortable laughter. I recognize some of those voices, women I hosted at dinner parties, men whose children I helped raise alongside Jason. People who ate at my table and never once questioned where the food came from, who planned the menus, who made sure dietary restrictions were honored and celebrations were memorable. Judge William Harper, 62, silver-haired, with eyes that have seen enough courtroom theatre to be unimpressed by most of it, raises one hand. The laughter dies. Mr. Brooks, he says, his voice carrying the weight of 3 decades on the bench, I'll ask you to show respect in my courtroom. Of course, Your Honor. My apologies. Jason doesn't sound sorry. He sounds like a man who's learned which words to say to get what he wants. I should know. I taught him that. I close my eyes for just a moment and I'm back in our kitchen, the one with the grey marble countertops that Linda, Thomas's ex-wife, had chosen before the divorce. I never changed them. Seemed wasteful when there were other priorities. College tuition, for instance, business investments, a young man's future. Jason had been 14 when I married Thomas. Old enough to resent me, young enough to need someone to sign his permission slips and make sure he ate something besides pizza. His mother Linda had moved across the country within 6 months of the divorce, chasing a photography career that never quite materialized. She called on Jason's birthday, sometimes. So I became the one who sat with him at the kitchen table, grey marble cold beneath my elbows, and walked him through algebra homework while Thomas worked late. Again, I was the one who taught him how to tie a tie for his first job interview, who helped him understand that arrogance and confidence weren't the same thing, though God knows that lesson didn't stick. I was the one who convinced Thomas to give Jason a position at the company after college, who smoothed over the disasters when Jason's ego wrote checks his experience couldn't cash. Who spent hours, invisible, unpaid hours, coaching him on how to read a balance sheet, how to negotiate with vendors, how to lead without alienating everyone in the room. Mrs. Brooks, Judge Harper's voice pulls me back to the present. I'd like to hear your statement. I stand slowly. My knees protest. 55 isn't old, but it's not young either, and I've spent too many years on my feet, cooking, cleaning, building a home that apparently belongs to everyone but me. Your Honor, I begin, and my voice is steadier than I expected. 27 years of swallowing my own feelings have given me excellent control. I've never carried a business card. My name isn't on the corporate letterhead. You won't find me in the employee directory. Jason shifts forward in his seat, sensing victory. But when Jason was 18 and arrested for underage drinking, I was the one who called our lawyer at 2 in the morning. When he was 22 and his startup failed, leaving him $50,000 in debt, I was the one who structured a repayment plan with Thomas. When he was 25 and wanted to propose to his girlfriend, I was the one who took him to buy the ring because he didn't know the difference between clarity and carrot. I pause, let the words settle. She left him 6 months later, I continue, my voice softer now. I was the one who held him while he cried. The homemaker. The woman who doesn't even have a LinkedIn profile. The courtroom is silent except for the air conditioning cycling on with a mechanical wheeze. I see Jason's jaw tighten. Good. Let him feel something. When Thomas's mother died 3 years ago, who planned the funeral? Who made sure all 73 of her friends and family members had a place to sit, a meal to eat, a memory to share? Who held this family together when grief would have torn it apart? Thomas is still studying his hands. I wonder what secret they're keeping. I didn't file patents. I didn't close deals. I didn't build the Brooks family business with contracts and quarterly reports. I turn to face Jason directly now, and he has the decency to look away. I built it with every dinner party where I made sure the right people sat next to each other. Every charity event I organised that brought in clients, every crisis I managed so Thomas could focus on work, every lesson I taught you about integrity, responsibility, and gratitude. My voice catches on that last word, gratitude, the one lesson that never took. I see. Judge Harper makes a note. Mr. Brooks, you're seeking to dissolve your father's estate according to terms that would exclude Mrs. Brooks from any significant inheritance, claiming she contributed nothing of value to the family enterprise. Is that correct? That's correct, Your Honor. Jason's lawyer stands. The business was built by Thomas Brooks. Jason Brooks has worked directly in the company for 6 years. Mrs. Brooks, while perhaps a supportive presence, had no material. She had no material contribution. The judge's voice cuts through the lawyer's explanation like a blade. Counselor, I've been on this bench for 31 years. I've presided over more estate disputes than I care to count. And I can tell you that the most valuable labour is often the least visible. He looks at me then, really looks at me, and, for the first time in months, I feel seen. Mrs. Brooks, when did your stepson first approach you about signing away your rights to the estate? 6 months ago, Your Honour. 2 weeks after Thomas's diagnosis. The courtroom erupts. I hear gasps from the gallery, angry whispers. Jason's face flushes red, and his lawyer grabs his arm to keep him seated. My client, the lawyer begins. Your client, Judge Harper interrupts, waited until his father was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer to pressure his stepmother into forfeiting her legal rights. A woman who raised him, supported him, sacrificed her own career opportunities to maintain a home that benefited him directly. Your Honour, Mrs. Brooks never had a career to sacrifice. I was an architect. My voice is quiet, but it carries. I was 28 years old with my own firm when I met Thomas, small but growing. I had just won a contract to design a community centre in Portland. It would have been my breakthrough project. I can feel every eye in the courtroom on me now. I gave it up. Thomas's business was in a critical growth phase. Jason was struggling in school, needed stability. Someone had to choose family. So I did. I closed my firm. I told myself it was temporary. That I'd go back when things settled. I laugh, and it sounds bitter even to my own ears. Things never settle, do they? There's always another crisis, another opportunity that requires someone to hold down the fort, another reason why my dreams could wait and everyone else's couldn't. Thomas finally looks up. His eyes are wet. Too late for tears, I think. Far too late. You never told me, he whispers. You never asked. The truth of it hangs between us like a third presence. 27 years of assumptions, of taking for granted, of believing that because I didn't complain, I didn't suffer. Judge Harper removes his glasses, cleans them with a cloth from his pocket. It's a deliberate gesture, giving everyone time to absorb what's been said. Let me tell you what I see, Mr. Brooks. He addresses Jason directly now. I see a young man who benefited enormously from a woman's unpaid labor, who received mentorship, guidance, and support that would have cost hundreds of thousands of dollars if purchased from a professional consultant, who lived in a home maintained to a standard that enabled his father to focus entirely on business growth. Your Honor, with respect, I'm not finished. The judge's voice is steel. I see a young man who, the moment his meal ticket was threatened by illness, decided to erase the contributions of the woman who made his comfortable life possible, who reduced decades of invisible labor to just a homemaker. As if caring for a family, maintaining a home and providing emotional and logistical support were somehow valueless. Jason's lawyer tries again. The law is clear about marital property rights. But the law, Judge Harper says, replacing his glasses, recognizes multiple forms of contribution: financial, material, and yes, domestic. Mrs. Brooks, did you and your husband maintain separate finances? No, Your Honor. Joint accounts. I managed the household budget, all personal investments, charitable giving. And Mr. Brooks, did you ever discuss with your father the possibility of fair compensation for your stepmother's contributions? Jason's silence is answer enough. The judge reviews the documents before him, taking his time. I watch Jason's confidence begin to crack. He keeps glancing at his mother Linda in the back row. She flew in specially for this hearing, smelling blood in the water. She's wearing all black like she's already attending Thomas's funeral. Here's what's going to happen. Judge Harper's voice fills the courtroom. This case reveals a fundamental misunderstanding about the nature of value. Mr. Jason Brooks, you've built your claim on the assumption that only paid labor matters, that only work with a title and a salary deserves recognition. He leans forward. You're wrong. Your stepmother served as an unpaid consultant, life coach, household manager, and family counselor for 27 years. The market value of those services, calculated conservatively, exceeds $2 million. That's before we factor in the opportunity cost of the career she abandoned. Your Honor, that's speculative. What's speculative, the judge says coldly, is your assumption that you have any right to exclude her from an estate she helped build. Mrs. Brooks, you entered this marriage when the family business was valued at roughly $800,000, correct? Yes, Your Honor. And it's now worth approximately $40 million. So I'm told. A 50-fold increase during the exact years you were providing the domestic and emotional infrastructure that allowed your husband to take risks, work extended hours, and focus exclusively on growth. He looks at Jason. You don't see the connection? Let me make it clear. Your stepmother's labor subsidized your father's success. Her sacrifice enabled your privilege. And now you want to erase her from the very prosperity she helped create. The courtroom is utterly silent. Even the air conditioning seems to have paused in respect. I'm ruling in favor of Mrs. Brooks. She is entitled to 50% of the marital estate, as is standard in this state. Additionally, I'm awarding her a settlement of $1.5 million from the family business accounts, representing partial compensation for unpaid professional services rendered over 27 years. Jason surges to his feet. That's not... Sit down, Mr. Brooks. The judge's voice cracks like a whip. You can appeal my decision if you wish, but I suggest you spend some time considering what you've actually lost here. It isn't money. I feel something break loose in my chest. Not quite relief, not quite victory. Something stranger and more profound. Recognition, maybe. After 27 years of being invisible, someone finally saw the work. Thomas reaches for my hand. I pull away. Some gestures come too late to matter. As we file out of the courtroom, Jason tries to approach me. His face is pale, younger somehow, scared. Evelyn, please. I didn't mean... I was just trying to protect Dad's legacy. No. The word stops him cold. You were trying to steal what you didn't earn, what you never valued until you thought it might slip through your fingers. I'm sorry, I'll make this right, I swear. Jason. I place my hand on his shoulder, and he flinches like I've struck him. I spent 14 years teaching you how to be a man, how to think strategically, how to understand that actions have consequences. I lean closer, lower my voice so only he can hear. Congratulations, you finally learned. I walk away then, through the courthouse corridor with its echoing footsteps and fluorescent lights. Linda tries to intercept me at the elevator, her face twisted with anger, but I step around her without a word. She doesn't deserve my energy anymore. None of them do. Outside, the afternoon sun is warm on my face. I stand on the courthouse steps and breathe deeply for what feels like the first time in years. My phone buzzes. A text from Thomas, "Please come home. We need to talk." I delete it without responding. Another text, this one from my lawyer. "Congratulations. When would you like to discuss next steps?" Next steps. I smile. I'm 55 years old. I have resources now, freedom, time. The architecture world has changed dramatically since I left it, but I've been keeping up, studying late at night when Thomas and Jason thought I was just browsing the internet. I've already contacted 3 firms about consulting work, nothing major, just enough to see if I still have the eye, the instinct. One of them called me back this morning. Before the hearing. Turns out, 27 years of managing a household, organising events, and solving impossible logistical problems translates surprisingly well to project management. Who knew? I walk to my car, a modest sedan, nothing like Thomas's luxury vehicles, and sit for a moment in the driver's seat. In the rearview mirror, I can see the courthouse behind me. Jason is standing on the steps, his shoulders slumped, his expensive suit somehow making him look smaller. I don't feel triumph. I don't feel vindicated. I feel tired, and sad, and free. There are some family ties that can't be untangled. They can only be cut. And the price is never paid by the person who does the cutting. I start the engine and pull out of the parking lot. I don't look back. There's nothing behind me worth seeing anymore. The road ahead is uncertain. Terrifying, mine. For the first time in 27 years, that's enough.